Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom, where I try to give you the heads up on the scoop at the movie theater. And of course, since we're not at the movie theater, what movies are coming and going through streaming while we're all in this crazy world pandemic situation. So today, before I say anything else, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, be sure and subscribe. And thank you for subscribing. So today is a movie that appeals to the new grandmother in me. Can you believe I'm going to be a grandmother? I just found out that my oldest son and his wife are having our very first grandchild, and it's going to be a girl. So this movie has little girl written all over it. The name is The Fairy Princess and the Unicorn. It's rated G. It's an hour and 25 minutes. And the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is an A minus. I thought it was pretty cute, and I'll tell you why. So first, I'm going to give you an overview of the movie, some tips for parents. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as some themes that you could talk to your children about if you watch this movie with them. So first of all, the movie was directed by Ina Jarvine, and I'm probably not saying these names correctly, and Federico Milea. It's a really colorful, beautiful animation, and it's just gorgeous to look at, and a movie that little girls will absolutely love because it's complete with fairies, princesses, unicorns, and magic. Visually, it's just stunning. And in fact, the visual style of it, I can see it being a video game and certainly merchandising after this movie has come out. And so Schleich is the world's leading manufacturer of animal figurines, and it's bringing its Bayala franchise to life in the United States with this animated feature-length movie. It's made possible through a partnership with Viva Kids, and this latest expansion for the film into the US follows its European theatrical release during the fall of 2019. So this is opened up a few months later. And in fact, the studio gave me a preview copy to watch it, and I appreciate them so much for that. The film takes kids, girls especially, on an adventure in the world of Bayala. It's a magical country where fairies have been living in harmony with nature for centuries. It kind of has a little bit of an Avatar feel in that sense, although these are very sophisticated kingdoms with castles and all of that kind of stuff. The peaceful country is put at risk when the evil shadow fairy queen, Ophira, steals the precious dragon's eggs in which lie the kingdom's magic. So that kind of reminded me a little bit about the movie Maleficent, where one queen is sort of left outside of everybody else's kingdom and fun. The fate of Bayala is in the hands of the brave princess Sura and her companions as they go on an adventurous journey to bring the dragons back to the save the kingdom. All right, so that's the story in a nutshell. And the Bayala product line launched in 2012 and features a very enchanting world of unicorns, fairies, mermaids, and other wondrous creatures that are so colorful and, like I said, so pretty and perfect for merchandising. If I were a little girl, I would have gone nuts over those things. So some quick tips for parents are that, first of all, the movie has no profanity. Instead, the closest you get is you hear phrases like, oh, my wings, or oh, my ice. Right? I mean, perfectly family friendly for all ages. And in fact, there's nothing scary. There's this evil queen, but she's beautiful and she's not scary at all, other than, she's intense. You can, by the way, download some fun activity sheets that go with the movie if you go to my website, moviereviewmom.com, and you can print them out and have all kinds of fun with your kids while they're watching this movie and doing these little activity sheets. Now, some themes about the movie include how there's a quote by the narrator, and she says, "Sometimes the smallest things can bring about the greatest change," which is a great empowerment movie for children where they can make a difference. And there are several examples of that throughout the story. Another line that is spoken during the coronation ceremony is, "Each is different, all is one." So again, there's some empowerment for children that might feel different or want to be part of a group, and yet they recognize that they're not the same as everybody else. Working together as one, and teamwork is definitely a theme, believing in yourself, and a little bit of good and evil. So, some things that I really liked about the movie are, first of all, it is just so colorful, as I mentioned before, just magical world building. You want to live in this kingdom because it's so pretty. It's just gorgeous to look at. And again, everything little girls like, beautiful flowers and things like that. Okay, so I'm speaking from myself and my own opinions from when I was a little girl. There is some humor, not so much spoken, but really more visual gags. I would have loved more humor that would have made it more fun, but there's a little bit of that. The food looks fantastical. It's different because it comes from this mysterious land. It also looks delicious. Children will love the beautiful wings and the different designs that these fairies have. And there are different types of designs depending on what type of fairy. And so I loved that. The outfits are beautiful. There are a couple of musical moments, although they're not very memorable. The songs and the lyrics aren't super catchy, and they really just supplement the visual, what's going on. It's not like a big musical number where the characters are singing and dancing or anything like that. Children will wish that they could fly when they watch this movie. There are adventures and several missions that people have to do, and they're always trying to do what's right. So that's good. And the animation design, as I mentioned, is really beautiful. I keep saying that. It's very colorful, of course, but it's really well designed for a video game. However, the lips don't match the audio, and that's because it started off in Europe and they're trying to make it match a worldwide audience. Now, a few things that I didn't like were that, first of all, there is a lot of exposition at the beginning of the movie, which is important because you don't really know the history behind all of these kingdoms and fairies and characters. And so you need to know what's happening. But there's also lots of exposition throughout the movie because even then you don't always understand what's happening. And of course, little kids won't really care about the plot and all of that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of talking and explaining to do. Unfortunately, it's still a little bit hard to understand what's going on at the very beginning of the movie, even after several minutes of explaining the backstory. But again, your kids won't really care. So, one aspect of the story I was really excited about was that there are two princess twins. Well, I have an identical twin sister, so I was really excited to see what they were going to do with that. But they don't look alike at all. Obviously, they're fraternal twins. And so you'll have to explain that to your kids. And I wondered, if they're not identical, what was the point of even having them be twins per se? They could have just been sisters. I guess I'm a little stickler when it comes to that kind of a thing. And then also, there are a lot of scenes where the fairies are walking or riding in a boat. And I think, wait a minute, they have wings. They could be flying everywhere. Sometimes they have to carry things. And so they put them in wagons and that kind of stuff. But still, if I could fly, I'd be flying. Plus, it's really fun to watch them fly. As I mentioned, the voices don't really match the lips, but that's not a big deal. You know, I understand it's designed for a worldwide audience, but some of the voices don't match the characters. And I think that was just maybe poor American English casting. If you've got a burly looking character, the voice should be more burly. And maybe it was intentional to make it seem more comical that they didn't quite match, but it just seemed more like a mismatching of casting or voice talent for me. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting was the title of the movie. It's called The Fairy Princess, and there are lots of fairy princesses. And so that was a little misleading. And then it says the unicorn. And yeah, you get to see a unicorn, but it plays a very small role in the story. So that's a little misleading as well. Now, again, what it does is attract the target audience, which is predominantly little girls. Will they see princesses? Absolutely. Will they see a unicorn? Yeah. So, I mean, it works, but it seems like the title could have fit more or better what the content is. But again, I'm just sort of nitpicking at this point. We get to learn about other parts of the kingdom. As I mentioned, there are lots of different types of fairies. And so I would have loved to have learned more about those kingdoms and seen more of those fairies. But you really just kind of see mostly the leaders of each of those different fairy kingdoms. Not a big deal. And maybe that will lead into a sequel. And as a little girl, I would be all over that. Um, Now, you can go online to see the rest of my review at moviereviewmom.com, where I include funny lines and humorous, or same thing, interesting lines that have interesting insights into the movie or the characters. And then I also have links to movies that I think would be a recommendation for your little ones if they love this movie, for other movies that I think that they would also like. So I mentioned Maleficent. I love and this is the live action Maleficent movies with Angelina Jolie, especially the very first one, because it introduces this magical fairy tale land that this animation kind of feels like. So there are two Maleficent movies with live action that your children might enjoy. And then another one that I thought they might enjoy if they like this one is Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus, another type of unicorn. Anyway, I think that if you have little girls who love fairies, they are going to love this movie. And for older kids, maybe not so much. Have four sons, so I never got to see these kinds of movies. We were busy watching Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and battles and things like that. But now with a new granddaughter on the way, I'm so excited to be able to watch fun shows and movies like this. All right, if you watch this movie, I hope you enjoy it. And by the way, it's available on streaming almost everywhere. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope you join me for my next movie review. Bye for now.